plan in place to go to double block schedule for this year before COVID hit. And Monday was the day that all the classes met, and then it was Tuesday, Thursday, Wednesday, Friday for odds and evens. And then COVID hit, and I saw, and my timeline may not be correct, but I saw that Palo Alto had issued how they were going to handle things, which was the Wednesday being the day at that point where all the classes would meet, and they juggled everything around. And it seemed like MVLA was following their lead, despite the fact that it was contrary to what was in place for this year with no COVID situation. Which seems to me that when you go back to in-person, you're either sticking with what we've got, which was not the plan that our district came up with for double block period, or you're switching the kids again into a different layout. So I'm trying to understand why they went with what looked to be Palo Alto's method when it seemed like we had a good one in place for this year, even though all things happening, Monday might not have been 1 through 7 synchronous under this scenario. It might have been what we have now with Wednesday, which is an activity and an attendance and asynchronous learning. So I'm just trying to understand. It feels like MVLA is taking its lead from Palo Alto.
Well, I can assure you that's not the case. What happened with the fact that we went to that Wednesday system was not because Palo Alto did it. It's true, I believe that we did it after Palo Alto published theirs, but it was not a case of because of, just because it was after. It wasn't because of. This was discussed at one of the earlier board meetings this semester, and several people asked the question that you just asked, why in the middle? And the answer was that they had figured out that there was a better chance of having everything get done with it being in the middle of the week, because there would be an opportunity for correction before the end of the week, and many other reasons were offered. In practice, it hasn't worked. It looks as though the students are being overstressed on Wednesdays. And there are discussions going on right now about going back to the original schedule, not waiting for hybrid model, for hybrid learning to start, but doing it in in-person learning. Because we're getting the sense, and some of my own interns expressed this to me in a conversation yesterday, that the old model was much less stressful and enabled them to see a whole week ahead what they were going to do, instead of looking back 1 week and forward 1 week in the middle of a week. So I think that that part will be corrected. And I believe very strongly it will. And the other part is, are we generally following Palo Alto? No. I can see, I suggest you look, Palo Alto's superintendent had plans to bring everybody back October 1st or something very close to that date. High schools are now
Talking about the double block schedule.
I'm sorry?
I'm just talking about the double block schedule.
Right.
To flip around.
Yeah.
Not bringing kids back to school.
Yeah. So double block schedule, we weren't following Palo Alto.
So for
Actually,
what
if I
it's
may
worth,
chime in.
So for what it's worth, the kids got kind of slammed on Mondays too, even when it was single block schedule. Monday tended to be a slam anyway. So I'm glad you're getting feedback on the current situation from your current interns. That's great. Wednesday has calmed down a little bit now. I think teachers are getting feedback from students that, they were getting hit from all sides So I think Wednesday's getting a little bit more under control for what it's worth. But I believe it sounds like your intern's input was sound. I agree with their input from what I'm seeing of my sophomore going through.
And I'll just put in another vote for switching from Wednesdays from my son, who's a junior, who feels like the week isn't over. He never gets a break because there's no true weekend. So I'm glad to hear that that may be changing.